Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Ultimate Comics Podcast. My name is Nabeel Gaber, and I'm one of your hosts.
And I'm Josh, the other host.
And this is the podcast where we talk about Ultimate Marvel, an imprint of Marvel Comics that began in the year 2000 in an attempt to modernize and reimagine Marvel and its characters for the 21st century, starting a whole different universe with titles such as Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Fantastic Four, The Ultimates, and several others. So Josh and I every week will go through a handful of issues. We've just been reading through the Ultimate Universe, the original in order, and just talking about what we think, what we like, what we don't like, what has aged well and still holds up, what hasn't aged so well, and just ultimately the influence that Ultimate Marvel has and continues to have on Marvel in comics and in other media. So this week we are back to talking about Ultimate Fantastic Four Annual #1, as well as the main series issues 27 through 29. Josh, what do you
Yeah,
think of these issues?
I love 27 to 29. It's always trippy. I feel with Fantastic Four, you can always do some interesting Twilight Zone esque stuff. I'll say this is really dark, not in terms of the storyline. The story's not that light either. These last few issues were kind of dark
Yeah,
thematically, and just some of the stuff they cover.
we have this in the description, but we also just want to give people a heads up, just a trigger warning. There is
Yeah,
talk about self-harm and suicidal ideation and things of that
yeah.
nature, especially in the beginning of this story arc in the main series. So it does get very dark. I really like this batch of issues, and I think the story is very well told and the characterization is all on point. So we ultimately did have a lot of fun with the story, but it does come from a very dark place at the beginning.
Oh
It
yeah,
gets better, fortunately, but yeah, it can
yeah.
be pretty heavy at times.
And some towards the end, spoilers, some positive representation for us ugly people.
Ugly Americans, as you would say.
Ugly Americans. But you know what? Let's be more inclusive, especially because we, for some reason, have a fan base that's outside of America, like
Yeah,
Egypt and Italy.
yeah. I
So
mean, Egypt makes a little more sense. I have family there.
yeah. Okay, you're right. That's a little cheating. A few in Denmark. You told me.
Yeah, no, I studied abroad in Denmark and I stayed with my host mom. So,
I
Anya, if you're
I
listening, thank you. Miss you all the
I
time.
I'm not. I don't know if you count this as a Nordic country. I told some people I know in Estonia to follow us, and he said, "Yeah, I'll do it." And I don't know if he actually did it.
Well, hopefully you did. Anyways, yeah, we should be more inclusive. You're right, Josh. Not just ugly
Yeah,
Americans, but ugly
ugly
citizens
people
of
in
the
general.
world unite
Yeah. Yes. Uh,
is
I don't know
basically the
what's up with
bottom
this.
line of this story arc that we're going to get into. Be
I
proud of
don't know what's up with
yourselves.
this. Yes, but I also don't know what it is about this ugly socialism that's going on here.
You started this movement. I was not the one to spearhead this term. I'm really
No,
just backing you up here because you seem to really want to push this.
I know because ugly people were really oppressed. There's actually studies out there that says if you're conventionally attractive, you're more likely to get a job and children trust you more
I
because
mean,
you're probably
yeah.
less likely to steal their candy or whatever. But
Yeah, that is a shitty fact that has come up in several studies. So we should not judge people based on their physical appearance. I agree with you
yeah.
there.
Yes, it should just be one factor out of many when you judge a person.
What's the one factor?
And it's just one factor out of many when
Oh,
you judge
okay.
a
But you
person.
have like
Yeah,
a whole checklist by which you judge people then?
I think everyone has to check this. You got to check their heart, their thoughts, the way they
Yeah.
dress, how they eat, their manners, and how good of a person they are.
Is that like at the bottom of the list? Is that like the order in which you judge people?
It depends on the context of like the what you're judging them for. If you're like in a court case, like how good of a person you are is like second or third tier, and when you're at like applying for a job, it's near the bottom. Because like you don't need a good person to be your accountant. You want a person who's smart and could count to be your accountant.
Okay, so different criteria based on different roles and positions just in society in general.
Exactly. Like when you're voting, the person's morality near the bottom, but their appearance middle.
We can, I'm sure, unpack that just like outside of the recording session, but we can also release bonus footage of you unpacking that for us later. Why don't we just dive into the comics while we're at it? Well, well, we're on a roll here. We start with annual number one, Ultimate Fantastic Four annual number one.
This is an Inhumans comic, and we were just talking because as we always do with our intro about like adaptations. The Inhumans comic, in my opinion, is like the weakest of the arc. It's not actually that bad of a story, in my opinion. It was still a fun read in hindsight, but I
Hmm.
feel Marvel, I feel, has always had this problem. Like, if you ask anyone, I don't know if like the company themselves think they have this problem. But if you ask people on the street if they know like a few things about comics, they always will complain. Well, I don't like Marvel because they do this thing with like mutants and Inhumans. But you also have people like Spider-Man and Fantastic Four, and I feel Marvel has always had this weird thing where the Inhumans were their weird stepchild that they have to acknowledge, but they don't like to acknowledge. And then like with no, but it's true. Like, and then like they have the mutants, and then they tried to have the Inhumans replace the mutants, and then they didn't like this, so they just genocided most of the Inhumans.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They've recently been coming back. There's the series Imperial that's basically like spearheading the new era of cosmic Marvel. Jonathan Hickman has been writing, and the Inhumans have been making a comeback there. But yeah,
yeah,
the Inhumans in general, I have never particularly been a fan of the Inhumans. I think it has been rough for Marvel to figure out exactly what to do with them, and I'm sure their fans are few and far between. Like, if you
It's,
are an Inhumans fan, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. I'm pretty lukewarm on the Inhumans. I'm like, they're fine.
have you read a few Inhuman comics?
Yeah, I did read the
Yeah,
series. The It's funny because this annual Fantastic Four annual number one featuring the Inhumans, it was written by Mark Millar, who writes the main series, but it was also illustrated by Jae Lee. And Jae Lee, one of his best works is the Inhumans series that he illustrated that Paul Jenkins wrote for Marvel. And I read
yeah,
that, and that was a really good series. It also like made me aware of just how problematic the Inhumans are inherently, which was the point. Like, there's
yeah,
it's supposed to be uncomfortable generally. Like, this
yeah,
whole secret society of people with powers that are activated at a certain age and then are given different roles in society based, and there's a whole royal family and everything. It's supposed to be off-putting, and I
yeah.
get it, but I did
Uh,
like that comic. But yeah, I've never been like a fan of like, oh, I love Black Bolt, you know. I've never been like, oh, Medusa, my favorite. There's never a time where I think like, yeah, Karnak, or I mean, Karnak's pretty cool. But
so
like, I've never been like the Gorgon. Yeah, I love him.
I have not read the original comic, The Inhumans Appear, which is also a Fantastic Four comic, as you've reminded me.
Yeah.
I have read a few Inhuman comics, like out of order, when I was much younger. Not that I'm super old, but I feel I'm getting old. But I do actually like the Inhumans. I think before, like, they try to use them to replace mutants, and then Marvel like just genocided them. It kind of feels like the meme where God goes, "Hey, I have this idea of humans," and they're like, "What about the dinosaurs?" He goes, "Fuck the dinosaurs, nuke them."
Yeah.
That's why I feel Marvel treats mutants and Inhumans. But I think Inhumans in the 2010s, and when the MCU made a kind of bad TV show for them, because even they couldn't do this correctly.
Yeah. That TV show was rough.
I
Yeah.
think MCU has just like pretend it doesn't happen. But
Yeah.
you could do this thing where, like, if you like Game of Thrones and fantasy, and if you like YA novels, the Inhumans fits. Like, it works. And if you go that route with Inhumans, it works. Like, I love the kind of the relationship between Medusa and Black Bolt, where
Yeah.
like, yeah, there's also like some weird BDSM stuff going on with her and him, and also especially because he can't talk, and he's in charge, but he can't talk, so she does all the talking basically for him.
Is that BDSM to you?
No, I think the fact that she wraps him around with the hair is BDSM.
Wow. I mean, I feel like as for someone who talks about horn dogs as much as he does, you're really taking an interest in the sex life of Black Bolt and Medusa here.
No, no, no. I mean, it's anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know
Do
how
you
to
have any
respond.
comment on that?
Look, I don't need to explore it because Marvel has already basically came out and admitted it until the marriage ended and she banged Johnny Storm, which I keep forgetting, and you keep reminding me, and I go, God damn it, Johnny! Like, but also I remember the TV show. They did the thing where they go like, oh, it's the ugly people rising up. Everyone watched it, going like, it's kind of fucked up the society. We root for the bad guys in the show.
Yeah. Well, before we get too deep into the weeds of the Inhumans, let's just dive right into this comic that introduces them into Ultimate Marvel. It begins with some climbers in the Himalayas. They're climbing, and then they encounter two mysterious figures at the top of this mountain who then like freeze them in place and mind wipe them so they don't even remember that they encountered them. This is Gorgon and Karnak of the Inhumans are like, oh, they can't discover our hidden city of Adelan, the great refuge where the Inhumans live. So it starts off on that ominous note, and it pretty much establishes this is a secret society, this is a secret civilization. They don't want regular humans to enter, and they have like gone through all sorts of measures to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah. And I think Inhumans, as long as they stay in that role, are more okay. I think they changed one of the genders for one of the Inhumans now.
Yeah, because the Gorgon is a woman in this version when
Yeah.
he's a man in the original. So
And it's fair. Like, I think comics is, until semi recently, has been like a sausage fest. And
yeah.
also, Gorgon implies you're a woman anyway, if you know Greek mythology. I don't think there's a guy Gorgon. They're all lady Gorgons.
Yeah. So it makes more sense mythologically speaking. Yeah. I don't think people would really generally bat an eye at gender swapping most of the Inhumans because I'll be real, who cares?
Yeah. I actually like, with a few exceptions, when they gender swap characters in comics and they switch mediums a bit. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, realistically, there would be more women. Taskmaster was played by a really great actress. They just didn't make her do anything.
Yeah, yikes. Taskmaster as a character was just wasted generally. I don't really think it
Yeah.
had much to do with the gender swap.
Yeah, but I love the design of Taskmaster. That's one of my favorite costumes in the MCU. Hot take. I'm just gonna say it.
All right. It's out
Yeah,
there.
it's out there. I love the Taskmaster costume.
Come at us, haters.
Yeah, we're back at the Baxter's building as always. The Sue and Johnny's dad, Dr. Storm, has cancer, which is usually like a big sad topic. That's like every time you watch like Grey's Anatomy, that's like the big thing. This family's ruined by cancer.
Yeah.
But this is the Fantastic Four. So Reed and Thing have shrunk down, actually smaller than anything Pym has. So yeah, this Pym sucks. But
yeah, take that, Hank Pym.
Yeah, and they're killing his stomach cancer, but also not because they're in his testicles. It's revealed. So I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, it's really funny because they kind of don't really know what they're doing. Like Reed and Ben have shrunk down inside Dr. Storm and are trying to like kill his stomach cancer cells. But Ben's also like, hey, I don't even know if like we can tell which cells are what. And then Sue's like, yeah, it's okay. Like Johnny and I never really wanted any more siblings anyways, which is a hilarious implication of like, oh my God, are they accidentally destroying sperm cells? Like what's happening?
Well, to be fair, is old. Like old people, don't need to create children. We don't need Robert De Niro or Mick Jagger here.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also in Dr. Storm's case, he already has 2 grown children.
Yeah.
So he's had his time. He's fine.
Had his chance. He's had many a chance.
Yeah. Speaking of kids, Sue is also disappointed that Johnny, the Human Torch, her brother, is out clubbing with girls and just generally being irresponsible while the rest of them are actually helping Dr. Storm, their father, and like helping to take care of his health.
I think it's also revealing that like in many people's lives, cancer is like the defining thing of your life. But the Fantastic Four are so advanced when it comes to science and medicine. It's like, no, cancer means you waste an afternoon. That's it.
Yeah, they're like, it's fine. It's okay. It's some very mundane problem in the case of the Fantastic Four. They can deal with it.
Yeah, and Johnny, like, I don't know, he's a 2000s kid, so he'll probably say it. But, the Ashton Kutcher types, the ones with the hair, with the frosted tips. But it goes like, I'm out with these skanks. I can't handle more than 2 dates at once. And I'm like, you nasty horn dog.
Yeah, Johnny is just kind of he's being a fuckboy here, just like clubbing it up with like hot girls and everything and not really caring about who he's with. And yeah, just shown as very irresponsible.
It's demeaning to people. Like, these are individuals with lives and dreams.
Yeah,
and
you
fears.
tell him, Josh.
Exactly.
He's a feminist, everyone.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, why not?
Josh is like, yeah, why not? I'll get on board the feminist bandwagon. Hell yeah.
I mean, it just means about equality. I'm against slavery too, I hate the dehumanization of people.
How can you be so controversial and yet so brave, Josh?
I know, I'm like a hero right now.
Yeah. Josh Kang coming out with some hot takes. Treat women as equals and slavery
treat
is wrong.
men as equals too, because I was at the fire station. I'm not in firefighting anymore, but I went up there for a training thing for I have my current job actually. I paid for it out of pocket, but all these women were there just ogling at the men, and I'm like, that's not right.
Yeah, don't objectify people like that.
Yeah. They were like, you were there to deliver food for whatever nonprofit that all of you signed up for. just deliver food and leave. Don't just stare there ogling at their muscles and asking if they'll take their shirts off because it's hot. Yeah, like, yes, they did that, but you shouldn't have watched.
Man, I love it when you go off, Josh. It really
Thank you.
makes my night.
He does see someone being chased by cloaked figures, and
Yeah.
he goes like, "Oh, okay." And the girls go like, "Aren't you gonna do your job?"
Yeah, they're literally like, "Hey, there's someone being like chased by some creepy cloaked figures. Aren't you gonna like save this person? Aren't you supposed to be like a hero?" And he's like, okay."
I'll
Like the
say,
fact that these girls he's with have to like tell him like, "Hey, do your job," is hilarious.
I think the Fantastic Four. I was gonna say Johnny's generally the most heroic, but not in this case. It's the Thing.
Yeah, I think in the main universe, Johnny is one of the more heroic members of the team because he actually enjoys being a superhero in general. And I feel like that's
Yeah,
true here in the Ultimate Universe version. But I think especially in this universe and also in the main comics, when Mark Millar, who writes Ultimate Fantastic Four, he later also goes on to write the main title. And in both versions, he does treat Johnny as more of a fuckboy and more of like a player and just kind of like a frat boy
yeah.
dude that is kind of a himbo. More so than I think a lot of other writers. It's really played up when Mark Millar writes it.
the the character Mark Millar, and when he wrote mainline comics, assassinating the most is Doctor Doom, because one of the best Fantastic Four stories. Actually, there's many, but Mark Millar wrote one of the big Doctor Doom Fantastic Four stories, and he just turned Doom into Stalin, where he goes like, "All right, just kill the first row that stops clapping for me." Like Doom wouldn't
Yeah.
do that,
But yeah,
but
then Johnny starts chasing the hooded figures, and these hooded like creatures, they look so creepy. Like I love Jae Lee's art in this. This is my favorite part of the annual. It's just the ominous and like moody, like gothic artwork and the designs for the characters. They turn around and they like unleash this like swarm of bugs on Johnny and start like attacking him and like beating him up, the two of them.
yeah. Well, it's funny because that's gonna happen with the regular Fantastic Four in like a few issues. Spoilers.
Spoilers, yeah. It's a little
Yeah.
bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah, but I love the Inhumans are in this because they're horror monsters. They're horror creatures. Like this
Yeah.
could be like probably a PG-13 horror movie with like this dark society of sexy monster people.
Yeah, I don't have strong opinions about the Inhumans. I will say, like, Jae Lee is the first person I would think of off the top of my head when I would think of someone who could draw the Inhumans the best because
Yeah,
he makes them so creepy and, yeah, like you're saying, horrifying generally and
yeah,
unsettling. And I think that's the right vibe for this creepy society of people with inhuman powers. So,
yeah,
yeah, no, it's so well done.
yeah.
But Johnny, during the fight, ends up shooting off the Fantastic Four distress signal to summon the rest of his team.
The lady being attacked, by the way, is Crystal. The
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's Crystal of the Inhumans, and she's in the shadows, and she summons Lockjaw, who, for those of you who don't know, is like the Inhumans dog who also has teleportation powers.
and has a fork on his head.
Yeah, exactly. And so Lockjaw shows up and scares off the
I-
creatures attacking Johnny.
Is Lockjaw a Inhuman or is he just a giant dog? Because if he's a Inhuman, that implies he was a person at one point and became a dog.
Oh
You know?
yeah. I'm pretty sure Lockjaw is not exactly a dog, but again, my knowledge of the Inhumans is so sparse that I couldn't say, let's see. Yeah, he's an inhuman giant bulldog. So like he's an inhuman or a dog that had the inhuman gene that was unlocked during Terragenesis, a dog that was given powers.
But like the portal that the Inhumans use is a person that became a portal. We're sure it's not a person that became a dog, because that's like not cute anymore. Lockjaw's cute, but if he used to be a person, that's kind of terrifying and sad.
Well, it says he was born on the island of Adelan, so he is like their dog that gained powers. He was never
Okay,
a person, luckily.
okay.
That would be creepy. Imagine like one day you're just walking around a normal human being, you go through Terragenesis, and next thing you know, you're a dog that can teleport.
I mean that happens because the portal is a human that like got Terragenesis and became a tree door. That sucks too.
Yeah. It's really like a lottery. You're basically rolling the dice when you go through Terragenesis on what powers you're going to get and what's going to
Yeah,
happen to you.
yeah.
And that is another thing that makes the Inhumans pretty scary.
I do feel Inhumans, now that I say it out loud, can't be a horror movie because you also get to account for the dog, which is just like this large cute thing. You
He's
just
too
gotta,
cute. Yeah, I
yeah.
love Lockjaw. As indifferent as I am generally to the Inhumans, I love Lockjaw. He's so adorable.
That being said, I feel Lockjaw's kind of like Scooby Doo. Like he's silly, but you realize if he appears, you're probably gonna be scared.
I would be so scared if I saw a giant bulldog like that in real life.
Yeah. Fun fact in Scooby Doo, if you notice that when Scooby approaches a monster by accident, the monster backs away in the first season.
Damn.
Because it's a person, and he realized I don't want to mess with this giant dog
Yeah.
that can unhinge his jaw like a snake.
Yeah, ironically, the most cowardly member of Mystery Inc. is the one that scares villains the most.
Yeah, it's a giant dog,
Anyway,
like Lockjaw.
yeah, exactly. So after Lockjaw arrives, Lockjaw, Crystal, and Johnny all return to the Baxter building to talk to the rest of the Fantastic Four, and Crystal explains everything to them, and she also conveniently heals. Johnny was actually seriously injured in this fight with these other guys, but she like uses this magical inhuman device to just like hand wave like heal all of his injuries, just like make it easy. I'm like, damn, all right, we can just gloss over that. I thought that was really funny.
Her powers generally is like Avatar power, like not the one with the blue people, but the one with the kid with the arrow on
Yeah,
his head. Yeah.
yeah, she has elemental powers, which is pretty similar to like Storm.
She also calls Johnny very handsome, so
Yeah,
I don't know.
she's a horn dog. We know,
She's a
Josh. I
horn
know
dog. Yeah,
you
yeah.
wrote it in the script. I know you're gonna say it.
I
At
had
this
to. We
point,
gotta
I
call
know
it
you're gonna
out.
call at least one person per episode a horn dog.
Not necessarily. If there's no horn doggishness, there's no need to call out what doesn't exist.
I'm just saying, I defy you to find an episode of this podcast where you don't call someone a horn dog. But yeah,
But
Crystal explains that the people she was running from, they were palace guards, and she was escaping her duty as royalty, as she's a member of the Inhuman royal family. So yeah, she describes the Inhumans, which pretty much the same as they are in 616, except Gorgon is a woman.
Medusa is a bit different too.
Yes, yeah, because I feel like the designs are a little different than 616. So they do look creepier for sure. And I think even more unsettling and off putting than they did with 616. I think that's one of the liberties of working in the Ultimate Universe is like, all right, this isn't mainline continuity, so we can kind of experiment a little bit and do things a little differently. So the designs for the Inhumans are played up a bit more to be a little more unsettling, a little creepier, a little more like horror monster-esque.
Yeah.
And I think it's done super well.
Yeah. You're not gonna get that fun BDSM stuff with
Oh, here we
Black Bull
go.
and Medusa in this universe,
Again with the BDSM. Josh, are you sure you're not a horn dog?
I am not a horn dog. I don't know why you and
This is
the
the
others.
second time you have just unprompted brought up BDSM in this episode. The second time in this episode you brought it up.
It's like no, but like you gotta bring it up when you're talking about certain characters. Like some versions of Catwoman, you gotta bring it up because she's a dominatrix in a few. It was like year one.
I mean, she was
Exactly.
a sex worker, but I don't know if she was specifically a dominatrix.
Apparently, she was written to be a dominatrix.
Oh, okay. Well, she is a very dominant personality, as you would say.
Well, as I would say, but you work yourself up a few ranks every once in a while. And in this one, I don't know if it's been there since. It's always been coded that Medusa and Black will have like a certain kind of lively life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna leave it at that, and then the rest you listeners can, just speculate from there what that means.
Let's have a poll.
Yeah. What's the poll gonna be?
We'll think of the questions for the poll later.
Okay. Brilliant strategy. All
Thank
right.
you. Yeah.
But Crystal's talking about how she wanted to escape this arranged marriage with Black Bolt's brother, Maximus, also known as Maximus the Mad in the main universe. The evil one of the royal family, truly.
To be fair, he may not be evil in this one. She just calls him useless, I believe, a few times.
He does seem pretty sinister, too. I don't know.
But that's like my thing with Inhumans. It's like you could just do these weird Game of Thrones fantasy setting stories with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it is like with the royal family and the Inhumans.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it has not been adapted to screen very well. that's the most I'll say about that, because the less we talk about it, the better.
They brought the Game of Thrones cast for that show.
Yeah, well, they did that for the Eternals too, and look how that turned out.
I feel sad for most of those Game of Thrones guys. Like, they're not bad actors. They're just in bad stuff after bad stuff after bad stuff, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Except one of them does. Tyrion does really well, I feel now.
Yeah, Peter Dinklage is a fantastic actor and has gotten some really good roles since
Yeah.
then. So,
But he was in good roles before, so I don't know if
yeah.
that counts.
Anyways, Crystal is explaining everything to the Fantastic Four, and then she is then pulled like right out the window of the Baxter building with what seems like a giant magnet or something. It's
Yeah.
hard to tell, this device.
It's that they Inhumans do this weird old-timey technology thing with like the forks, the magnets.
Yeah. So Johnny chases after her and he's furious. And they're like, Johnny, like, she's gone. And he's like, the love of my life. And I think it's really funny because it kind of feels like a call out of this is kind of how the story plays out in the original Fantastic Four comics when they introduced the Inhumans, where Johnny is like this lovesick puppy about Crystal, and he's constantly chasing after her, and they're separated by tragic circumstance. And it's so dramatic. It's so dramatic. And they're like desperately in love with each other. And they both kind of just come off as like, dude, you just met each other. And that's what they say here in the comic. They're like, hey, you knew each other for 2 hours. And he's like, okay, fair. But I really like her and she's gorgeous, so we have to find her. Then we cut to Crystal getting scolded by her family back on Adelan just about making them look bad by running away and like, you know, setting like a bad example for the royal family. And they say it puts the genetic hierarchy at risk. And I'm like, that's pretty creepy. Like, this is where the Inhumans give me weird like eugenics vibes almost.
Yeah. You gotta preserve the royal seed and the royal blood.
Yeah, the royal bloodline, and let's talk about the genetic hierarchy. I'm like, I'm not about that, man.
It's like Game of Thrones, where less on the show, but in the books they talk about the royal blood, how it's magic the whole time.
Yeah, and that's how you get incest plot lines. But we'll get to that at a later episode. Ultimates. Anyways, yeah. Then the FF teleport in
because they have the magic dog.
Because they have Lockjaw with them. They're like, easy. Lockjaw's still there. He'll teleport us in.
I just love how they just assume, like, oh, the dog will just... Because I'm like, I know my dog. I won't know someone else's dog for, like, the first day or so.
Yeah.
How do you talk to it,
That's fair.
Yeah.
But, yeah, then Ben makes a really good point when they arrive. He's like, hey, everyone has superpowers here. We're kind of outnumbered.
Yeah.
But Sue's like, don't worry, I got this. Makes them invisible, so... They manage to stealthily navigate this area, and they witness, while they're invisible, a new Inhuman emerging from the Terrigen Mist. It's like this whole ritual that they put on when a new Inhuman gains their powers. And this Inhuman conveniently has activated their new power, which is like to see pretty much anything from miles away, to hear pretty much everything, basically like Heimdall from Thor and everything. You can see and hear everything from so far away and can perceive so much.
He has 3 eyes, just like the Blood Raven from Game of Thrones.
Bringing it back.
I know. That's my fault. I didn't see the first few seasons of the show. I read the books, and now I know a bunch of useless information about Westeros.
Yeah.
And he just points, he narcs on them.
Yeah, it's like so convenient that imagine if this Inhuman had gained any other power, he just happened to gain the ability to see everything, so they see the invisible Fantastic Four. I'm like, okay, convenient. Yeah. Lucky for the Inhumans, unlucky for the Fantastic Four.
I know we're bringing this back. I love how we keep saying this. The Inhumans are just so weird and disturbing in this version.
Yeah.
Because they just bring up, like, thing goes like, oh, this is like a cult, guys. I'm kind of freaked out by the...
Yeah.
And also, we saw Black Bolt for a second. Black Bolt is kind of silly in the regular comics, and the movie just owns it in Multiverse of Madness. They just put a fork on his head, which he does have in the comics, and it's like a joke. But here, it's like a creepy monster. Like, Medusa goes like, he won't speak. He just stares at you from the shadows.
Yeah, totally. They all look very creepy, and it gives very culty vibes.
Yeah.
But yeah, since they're visible now, Ben's like, well, I guess it's clobbering time since we don't have a plan. And he starts just beating everyone up. So they get in this big skirmish between the Fantastic Four and the Inhuman royal family. And during the fight, Ben accidentally knocks over this like giant statue, so they're all like about to die and get crushed by it.
Oh, I forgot he owns being ugly because he goes, "I'm ugly, grotesque."
Yeah, he's like, deal with it.
Yeah,
Take this. Punches the Inhumans.
if it
And
wasn't for the statue, I think they were winning. If I can't recall.
the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, they were
Oh
kicking.
yeah. No, they
Yeah,
get like they were thrown off at first, but yeah, you see them gain the upper hand at the second half of the fight. And Sue tries to stop this statue from falling with her force fields, and she thinks that she stops it, but it was actually Crystal with her elemental powers who saved everyone and stopped the statue from falling. And the Inhumans are like, well, we gotta leave and find a new home because now we have people who know where we live and humans that have breathed our air, the same air as us, which we can't have, which is like, ew, that's weird.
they keep going on about how regular humans smell bad and like stink up the air. Like that's the first line we get from the Inhumans in
Yeah,
like the first page was like humans are gross. And there's a scene where Crystal, when she was with the Fantastic Four earlier, where she was like, I ran away from the greatest like living conditions in the world to go to the greatest city in the world, which is New York, because of course they say that all the time. In
yeah.
Marvel. And then she goes like, and it was gross and nasty.
Yeah, so they're like, well, we don't want to deal with this anymore. We don't want to be around humans. We're very isolationist and tribal. So Black Bolt then levels the entire city with one whisper of his voice, destroys everything. And Maximus tells Crystal, oh, when he spoke, he said everything was your fault. Which I don't know how true that is because it seems like Maximus just trying to fuck with her. But he could have. I don't know because they never actually tell us for sure.
And it's implied they went to the moon, doesn't it?
Yeah, implied that they just go to space. They leave the planet Earth.
Yeah. I believe in 616 they now live on the moon, don't they?
I mean, they lived on the moon for a while, for like years and years. I don't know where they live now because they all like were killed off for a while and now only recently came back. So who knows? But probably in space somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we get to the main storyline in the main series, Ultimate Fantastic Four issue 27. It's the start of the President Thor arc, and it starts with Reed. He's in the past conducting some secret mission on the day of the original teleportation accident that gave the Fantastic Four their powers.
Yeah.
And when he's there, he runs into the Fantastic Four 24 hours in the future.
Yeah.
And of course they're confronted by, because Reed is meeting future versions of themselves, they're confronted by these creatures called Argaiapes, I think is how you say it. They're
I
like these,
Argaiopes? I don't know.
yeah, I'll just say Argaiapes, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm used to that when it comes to pronunciation. But yeah, these giant spider-like creatures that they consume any threats to the fabric of reality. And so they basically are like, well, you can't all be here at the same time because there's
Eh,
also, of course, the past versions of themselves on the day of the accident. And
Yeah.
they look like a rock band. You look at like,
Especially Doctor Doom.
yeah, he looks so moody and edgy and angsty. It's Doom and also the Fantastic Four on the day that they had their accident. And the way Greg Land draws it, I'm like, oh my god, they look like such a punk rock band or something from the
No,
80s.
a grunge band.
Yeah, a grunge band for sure.
A pop grunge band, but I also would say the spider things that are canon to all the universes now, because I believe as a Spider Verse is revealed, they're the ones who tie all the universes together.
Oh, all right, how about that?
Yeah, yeah. They're the reasons the spider sense is a thing.
Well, the more you know, kids. But
Yeah,
yeah, the Fantastic Four then tell Reed, you have to go back in time because that's what we're doing. We're going back in time to stop the accident from ever happening because we're doing this for the Thing, for Ben, because he can't live like this anymore.
yeah,
And Reed's like, okay, well, I guess like the decision's already been made, so I guess that's what we're gonna do. And he comes back to the present day. He's talking on the phone to Sue, and she's in Chile with the X-Men, funnily enough. The X-Men are helping her on this archaeological excavation in these
they're
pyramids.
they're interns. It says.
Yeah, so that includes Jean Grey and Kitty Pryde and a couple other like young X-Men, and Jean is using her telepathy to pick up like a residual psychic message in this pyramid. Something about a super scroll, which is
Yeah,
exciting for those of you who know the super scroll in the main universe, who is a scroll that has the power of all four of the Fantastic Four. So we're like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder where that's gonna go.
played
And
by Emilia Clarke, Daenerys Targaryen.
all right, well, let's not talk about the Secret Invasion show.
Okay.
Speaking of things we should never speak of. What a waste.
Yeah.
Anyways,
But Sue in their conversation doesn't want to lose her powers. She and Johnny love their powers because they got
yeah.
cool powers.
Yeah, because like Reed's talking about the idea of going back and stopping the accident, and Sue's like, "No, I think we were meant to be the Fantastic Four." He's talking about all the guilt he feels about Ben, and also about how they failed in their initial experiment to begin with. So Reed's like, "Yeah, this is a chance not just for Ben, but also to like do the experiment and to like get it right this time, and what that could mean for the future."
Yeah.
And for the world. But meanwhile, Johnny is sitting next to the cell of the zombie Fantastic Four, locked up from the previous zombie arc, and zombie Human Torch is giving his normal self like a recipe for like a beer that you drink with no hangover after, which is really funny.
Yeah, and I'll say this: I don't need it. I can recover from them well enough.
Wow, you're made of sterner stuff, Josh.
No, I just say I'm more resourceful and I know how to cure myself more easily.
You have your classic hangover cure recipes on
Yeah,
standby.
look, you gotta live in Britain for a bit, and you will come up with a bunch. You'll learn a bunch.
All right, pro tip. I might have to take that to heart.
I know. There's always a lot of bacon. Turkey bacon works too, I bet, or veggie bacon. I never had veggie bacon.
All right. Well, let's do it.
Yeah,
But yeah, then Johnny's like, "All right, how do I know that this recipe isn't some kind of trick for you to escape?" And zombie Reed Richards is like, "Hey, we're not doing this as a trick. I already know how we're going to escape. Like, we have our plan ready," which is really exciting foreshadowing.
yeah. And Johnny goes, "Cool, thanks, guys. Make me feel."
Yeah, he does not question it at all. He's like
It's
not a brain in his head.
no, he is just the most simplistic character here. I
Yeah.
also just love how it's like the classic thing in like the movies, like, "You sure this is not a plot to break up?" No, man, and it totally is.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
it turns
is.
out they're honest in this case. Like,
Yeah.
like he could have eaten this, and a portal could have appeared in his stomach, and they would have
Yeah.
just poured out.
Yeah, so luckily it wasn't a trap, but it could have easily been. The Thing, meanwhile, is getting in trouble in the middle of Manhattan because he injured some undercover cops, not knowing that they were undercover cops, obviously, thinking they were criminals. He, like, threw a lamp pole at their car and he's getting chewed out by the cops. It's
And
a
goes,
classic like superhero like Spider-Man scenario too, where like for example, like you bust up a mugging and then you find out you just stormed into a movie set and they were actors or something. It's that
yeah.
kind of thing. And he's like, "Hey, you know, the Fantastic Four and I, we've saved the world. Like, are you not going to give us any credit for that?" And the cops are like, "Yeah, but those were all problems you guys started in the first place."
I kind of agree with the cops on this one. They did kind of cause some of these problems.
Yeah, but they are being very hard on him because it's like he was just trying to help. He didn't know.
Well,
How was he supposed to know they were undercover cops?
I mean, two innocent guys just got seriously injured, though, so.
Yeah, that's also true. But like,
Yeah,
you give him a break. He meant well.
yeah. We find out he's on his way to Johnny's birthday party, and Johnny told Ben the men are dressing as women and the women are dressing as men, which is, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, it's a costume party. Everyone's coming in drag. You're gonna look great. So the Thing shows up in full drag, and it's glorious.
Yeah, his dress is Carmen Miranda. Also, by the way, in the annual, they made a reference to Carmen Miranda. I didn't know who this was until I googled her. Like,
Yeah.
why are there so many references to Carmen Miranda?
Yeah, Mark Millar was really on one, just like, I have to shove as many Carmen Miranda references in here as possible. Anyways, yeah, so Ben comes into the party dressed as Carmen Miranda, but no one else is in costume at all, which
Yeah.
is a pretty shitty prank to pull on someone. Johnny mocks him a little bit, but Ben just walks off, and you could see him like tearing up a bit. It's really sad.
Yeah, Ben and Johnny are sometimes mean to each other in 616, but this Johnny is just openly cruel to him.
Yeah, this is a little much. And I think the story even acknowledges that this is Johnny going too far. This is beyond like his normal antics and pranks they pull on each other.
This one reminds me of the Fantastic Four movie where they don't tone it down at all, and Johnny is not just mean to Thing, he is just openly cruel.
Yeah, and he
It's just
literally
this.
calls him the Thing on TV in front of everybody and
Yeah.
like mocks him and everything.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel this Johnny has a lot in common with Chris Evans' Johnny, where he's just the two things on his mind is banging and being mean to Ben.
Yeah, it's pretty shallow in terms
Yeah.
of an actual depiction of the character. There is more to Johnny Storm than just those simple things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Thor was also at the party, and Johnny's like, "Hey, does this affect my audition for the Ultimates?" And
And
Thor is
Thor's
like,
like, "You're a dick."
yeah, Thor's like, "Fuck off, man." Like, why would I consider you for the Ultimates? That's bullshit.
Yeah, because Thor just fought Hulk, and if Thing is like Hulk, that would have been angry. But no, you just make things sad.
Yeah, so it's like, you're a jerk. No way.
Yeah, I think even the girls in the clique are like, "What the hell, dude? That's messed up."
Yeah, everyone's like, Johnny, that was messed up. I think like the rest of the Fantastic Four, they join Johnny in looking for Ben, and Sue's like, that was a dick move. Like, that's worse than anything you've done with him. And they find Ben finally in Central Park sitting on this bench at night, and he goes on this really dark, really sad monologue about how it's suddenly sunk in recently that he's going to be the Thing forever. He's never
Yeah,
going to change back into Ben Grimm. And he
yeah.
goes on about he is suicidal, and he even says like, I've tried slitting my wrists, but the razor broke against my skin. It's so dark and depressing. He's like, oh yeah, and like, do you think Reed could create like a device that would kill me once and for all?
Ben could die in Ultimate Universe because we know he eats and we know he poops. So if he just starves himself, he could die.
But like, let's not encourage this. Let's not like think of ways that this could happen. Let's just be like, this is the wake up call. This is the moment where they're like, all right, we have to go back and stop this accident from happening because he's not okay. Like, we need to help him. And so they're like, okay, let's do it. And so it's funny because then we see the beginning of the issue, but from the flip side now, because now we get the perspective of the Fantastic Four, who are now, this is the present moment, but at the beginning of the issue, this was the Fantastic Four 24 hours in the future. So we just come full circle at the end of this issue. And the four of them go back. They tell Reed to go back 24 hours from now to the accident. And they were like, yeah, we're doing this for Ben. We're going to stop this from happening.
Reed goes, "This will affect us," but it's okay. The advancement we make based on time travel, we can still recreate it because the
Mm-hmm.
technology from time travel implies this all happens. So like it won't affect our scientific discoveries. But then he goes like, "Well, it means we're not together anymore." And Sue goes, "No, I have a thing for ugly guys. You guys are more controllable," which I believe is now called shrekking.
What? Are you
Yeah.
serious?
Yeah, it's called shrekking when you purposely date uglier guys because you know they're more likely to be like controllable and manipulated because like there's no way they're getting a girlfriend, and then if they got a girlfriend they're gonna be more desperate and more pleasing.
And that's what you think Ultimate Sue is doing with Reed?
She says that's what she did. She said, "I go for
Man, get
ugly guys."
Shreked.
Yeah, Reed's
Wow.
ugly.
Yeah, see, I believe that more than I believe Peter Parker being ugly. So, yes.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Because, like, yeah, I wouldn't see Reed as, like, the best looking guy in the
It's
world.
played
He's
by
not
Pedro
ugly, but,
Pascal.
like,
He ages
yeah.
very well.
Well, in the movies, it's a different story. Everyone looks good in the movies.
He looks really good in 616. This is handsome, middle-aged, graying
Oh,
man.
okay. This is when you say someone isn't ugly. Now is the time that
Yeah.
I'm finally admitting someone isn't, like, insanely good looking.
Okay, fine. To be fair, Reed in Ultimate is kind of ugly. Like glasses, just like this pencil-looking guy.
I agree with you. He looks better in 616. They
Yeah.
do go out of their way to make him look like a little schlubbier and extra nerdy in Ultimate.
But I believe in 616 he is like a more mature figure. He's had a regular job, worked a professor's in 9 to 5, but he has a professor job. He's a
Yeah.
scientist. He's been in the military. He's like aged into whatever he is.
Yeah, that's true. He's more mature.
Yeah, military made him fit. Probably Ben helped him in the gym a few times.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
maybe that's just what he needed in an Ultimate,
Yeah.
but we'll never know now. Yeah, then as the Fantastic Four are altering history, then the Super Skrull arrives and he's like, I'm too late. And we don't know why he's trying to stop them or what's going on at this point. But the
Yeah.
Super Skrull's there and he's like, I know, I was too late to stop them. And then we cut to the new world that has been created in the present day because of this. So now all of a sudden, Thor is president of the United States, because why not?
Reed is
And
vice
everyone
president.
has superpowers. Yeah, Reed is vice president too. Everyone's got superpowers. There's no crime, there's no poverty, no disease, and they're talking about like getting into contact with the Skrulls, although someone calls them Chitauri, and Thor's like, hey, that's an offensive term. Like, you don't call them that.
Jean Grey is possibly the chief of staff of the White House.
Yeah, and we also see a big splash page at the end of like all these people flying in tight spandex, and it's
And
very Gregland. It
yeah,
is very cheesecakey, very like gratuitous. Those outfits are skin tight. You can
which
see
is
everything.
which is why superheroes need to wear the trunks like Superman to hide their super schlong as they're flying in the air.
Yes. For those of you who don't know, this is what Josh has been arguing for weeks now, at least. Maybe
I
years. I don't
look,
even know.
I look because like James Gunn said, like, why do we need to put trunks on Superman? Maybe we don't. And they're like, maybe we don't need a reason. I'm like, there's a good reason. We were just at Comic Con. You could just see people's schlongs as they walk around a costume. If they had trunks on, you would not see the schlong.
You do make a good case, and I can't argue with that. Having experienced a similar thing over Halloween this past weekend, yeah, it's tough. You got to have the trunks just to like hide that whole
Is it because
area.
your schlong was showing, or is it because you accidentally saw too many schlongs?
It was the first one. Anyways, not to get too deep into my Halloween costume issues, but yeah, that's rough. You need the trunks. Josh is surprisingly right on this one.
Thank you, thank you. That's like 5-1, I think, or something.
At least. But we get to issue 28, which opens first. You see the beginning of the experiment that the Fantastic Four successfully achieved this time with this new altered timeline. So you get to see them teleport the apple successfully as planned. Nothing goes wrong. No one gets powers in this initial experiment. And then the rest of the sequence cuts to the present day, which is super fun because you get to see these kids with superpowers playing baseball across the globe. They're like tossing the ball between the North Pole, New York City, over the Atlantic Ocean, in Africa. Like, it's really fun and really cool to see. Oh, it's basically like a mundane, regular baseball game, but these kids have powers so they can play it across the globe.
I just assumed they were just using teleportation machines.
I thought they were just throwing the ball really far with like
Oh,
super strength
that's a good point. Yeah.
and like flying. I will hand it to Greg Land for this one. The panel layouts are really cool, and the way that the ball travels between the panels and seeing like the kids, it looks like they're all so much closer together because that's probably how it feels, despite them being countries and continents apart. Because everything feels smaller now that everyone has superpowers in like this utopian society, seemingly.
It's revealed later that the Fantastic Four accidentally teleported themselves into the Scroll planet.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was like a success story from their successful teleportation device. They managed to teleport or to the Skrull homeworld, make contact with the Skrulls, who then shared this life-saving pill that also gave people superpowers. So not only did it like cure all disease, it gave almost everyone on the planet superpowers. And this has all happened in the span of 18 months, too. So, in like a year and a half, the entire world has changed. This utopia has been created. They're like, yeah, the Skrulls are this benevolent race. And that's how you know something is not right here. Because anyone who has read the comics and knows the Skrulls is like, they're the furthest thing from benevolent. What do you mean?
I
The
think
Skrulls are nasty people.
that's racist, man. You can't grab all scrolls and say
Hey, I
they're
read
nah.
Secret Invasion. I know what's up. I read the Kree Skrull War.
Didn't they unite recently?
All right, Empire, I also read, and that was when Hulkling. I should not generalize, yeah, because I
Yeah,
love
right.
Hulkling of the Young Avengers. He unites the Kree Skrull Empire into one because he's half Skrull and half Kree. So
Yeah.
go
But
figure.
my thing is, this is like the ultimate version of Secret Invasion, and this has so many weird aspects of two things. One is that it reminds me of the Young Justice TV show, where it's revealed aliens have snuck into Earth, abducted. They do the Secret Invasion thing, and it's revealed this other alien race is giving out like cures to cancer, and the other
Yeah.
one is the X-Men, where over there the X-Men are just exporting medications to cure
hmm
cancer. Yeah.
Well, what's really funny too is you're talking about Secret Invasion, about how this is the ultimate Secret Invasion, but this is funny because this happens years before Secret Invasion
Oh,
is actually
really?
published. Yeah, because Secret Invasion was 2008. This is like
Damn,
2005. Yeah, so
I always forget
this is
that
a few
like
years before.
Ultimate is actually like before House of M and apparently Secret Invasion and Civil War, I believe, as well.
Yeah, this is before Civil War too, because that was like 2006, 2007. This is like right before that.
Yeah, I always forget that like Ultimate is actually before some Marvel ideas.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You're like,
Yeah,
huh, okay. So this is like kind of a precursor almost to like that. This like almost walked so that something like Secret Invasion could run.
yeah.
But
I believe
yeah,
with Civil War though, it is Mark Millar who wrote Civil War.
yes, yeah, he wrote Civil War shortly after this.
Yeah. There are some bad things. Some people, after eating the pills, became super villains, like Doctor Doom, who
Yeah.
keeps sending Doombots to turn the time back.
Yeah, it's really funny how the one constant between this world now and the world where they became the Fantastic Four is Doom still hates them. And
Yeah.
so Doom is still their enemy, and he's sending Doombots to try to stop this timeline from even existing. He's sending Doombots to go to their time machine and like make sure that this world never happened, which later we'll see he's kind of onto something there. I don't think he knows what he's onto, but like, yeah, it's really
Maybe
funny how he's the resistance here.
maybe he does because in the TV show Earth's Mightiest Heroes, it is Doom that figures out their scrolls.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah,
maybe
Earth's
Doom,
Mightiest Heroes Doom was onto something with Secret Invasion too.
yeah, um,
A broken
is the
clock is right twice a day, you know?
or yeah, and they also he's just jealous of you being vice president. I'm like, there's no way Doom wants to be vice president.
He wants to be president. Yeah,
Yeah,
at least he wants to really be like global emperor, but like if he can't get that, then he can at least settle for being the ruler of a nation, not a
yeah.
vice president.
I think this is the closest we got to original Doom so far in Ultimate, because he's like in Latveria, he's in a castle, he has Doombots finally.
Oh yeah, and we'll talk
Yeah,
about that in the next story arc too, because then we get a much better look at Doom in Ultimate now. And yeah,
yeah,
he's gotten closer and closer to his main universe
yeah,
counterpart.
yeah. He's a Wizard King finally with
Yeah.
robots.
And yeah, this is the world too where the only person on this planet who does not have powers is Ben Grimm, funnily enough,
And is a
formerly
celebrity
known as the
because of
Thing.
this,
Yeah, everyone loves him. He's like the most popular man on the planet. People love saving him.
which is hilarious.
It's fun. It's like, oh, look, Ben, let's help you. Ben, can we save you? They love him just for
Eh,
being a guy, just a
it, that,
normal dude.
that's just so condescending. Like I bet this is how old people feel when they see young people when like kids go up to them like, "Do you want me to help you cross the street?" And I'm like, "No, back off. I'll hit you with my cane."
Is that going to be you when you're old?
Yeah, probably. I don't want unless I can't cross the street. Don't help me cross the street. If
Yeah,
I need
it's
help,
just
I
nice
ask
to
for it.
ask. It's,
I,
just sometimes people are too scared to ask for help. It's
yeah.
nice. It's the
It's
thought that
kind of
counts.
it's condescending. In this case, everyone just wants to rescue him. I'm like, why does he still? I know they explained that like supervillains keep trying to kidnap him because there's no one else to kidnap, but still,
Well, he's got it pretty good too. Everyone loves him, and he's also got a butterfly girlfriend, which
yeah.
is all right. Way to go, Ben Grimm.
That's kind of disgusting, but you know.
I don't want to get into how any of that works unless you have any more BDSM comments you want to make,
No,
Josh.
I mean, there's actually a TV show about this. It's what Amazon made. I can't remember its name. Carnival Row.
Oh, I've never heard of
It's not a good show. They
that.
try. Cara Delevingne's in it. She plays a butterfly girl who hooks up with Orlando Bloom, who's a regular guy.
Okay.
So they do go into the physics of it. That being said, it's still disgusting because like she's got butterfly wings.
Yeah, it's a little strange.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna judge, but I don't think I would date someone with butterfly wings.
Yeah. Neither would I.
But yeah, then while they're out just having a good day, then the Super Scroll appears, and it looks like he's been traveling through time still, and he's like, "Oh, I need to go back further. I made it to the wrong moment." And they're like, "What the fuck?" And so the
Yeah,
Super Scroll disappears again.
because they know what scrolls are in this universe. They just are confused to see one just pop out of nowhere.
And it's like, "What was that about? Like, what's
Yeah.
going on?"
I guess to us it'll be like, we know what Australians are. We've met Australians probably. If one just appears in front of you, you're just gonna be confused.
Yeah, it'd just be like, "Okay, that was weird," and suddenly vanished after that. So
Yeah.
I guess we'll be thinking about that for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And then Thor is talking to Reed, and he's like, "Listen, Reed, I'm banning the time travel technology, like all of it. We should not have it. We should not be using it because it's too risky for Victor Von Doom or Van Dam. Sorry, Victor Van Dam to get a hold of."
Wait, so I always forget he's called Victor Von Dam in this universe. So he's
Yeah,
not Doctor Doom because his name is Doctor Doom. He's Doctor Doom because he's an egomaniac and goes like, "I am Doctor Doom."
exactly. It has nothing to do with his name in this version.
It's just like Magneto.
Yeah, exactly. It's just because he's dramatic.
Yeah,
And then the Skrull ambassadors arrive on Earth to meet with Thor and Reed.
they're wearing the Skrull Emperor is wearing the Super Skrull armor because
Yeah,
yeah, he's like, we're afraid of being assassinated.
it's cool because this is very different from the Super Skrull from the main universe, who is just a Skrull that has been genetically enhanced with all four powers of the Fantastic Four. This is a suit of armor that gives this guy the superpowers of everyone within a 1,000-mile radius, which
Yeah,
is crazy overpowered in this world where almost everyone on the planet has superpowers.
yeah,
So it's pretty cool. I'm like, all right, this guy, you don't want to mess with him. He's like ready to fight.
yeah. So Thor, President Thor, gives him like a box that has all of Earth's culture, writings, music, and poetry condensed.
Yeah,
And this Emperor, Skrull Emperor slash Super Skrull congratulates Reed for making humans immortal, which is
yeah,
insane.
yeah, that's
But
wild.
yeah,
This is a crazy utopian society they've created. I think they really had fun with this story arc, you can tell, because they're just throwing all sorts of big, crazy ideas on the wall to see what sticks. Because it's also a time travel story, so you can do as much as you want and have as much freedom as you want because you know it's going to get undone by the end of the story, honestly. Like, this is just a fun, like, hypothetical what if. And you can tell they just have loved doing this kind of stuff with Ultimate Fantastic Four.
yeah. One thing I like in this is that later the Skrulls just go back. They're like, "Yeah, we're doing our evil plan. Also, human culture sucks. We like
Yeah.
meat and champagne only."
Yeah. Yeah, the Skrulls have a meeting and they reveal, oh, there's actually ulterior motives. They're not purely benevolent beings like everyone thought. There are secondary effects to this pill that they gave everyone, which will be revealed soon. But yeah, they're like, fuck human culture and art and everything.
Yeah, they hate rap and jazz.
Yeah, only meat and champagne. That's all they want to do. They're basically like the whole plan is to just invade Earth, take over the planet, basically dominate, and just use this as another planet for conquest. And apparently, this is not the first planet they've done this to as
Yeah,
well. This is
kind
just what they
of
do.
kind of like the Reach in Young Justice or the Kree in regular
Yeah,
616. So I think the Kree are kind of more honest about it.
yeah, they're a bit more upfront about it for sure than the
Yeah,
Skrulls are here, who try to make it seem like they're very kind, gentle, benevolent, well-meaning people.
yeah. Also, only eating meat and champagne is like basically like a rich frat boy.
Yeah, that's true. And I bet it's got really bad health effects. I don't know what it
Oh,
does to the scroll system, but to a human body, if you only had meat and champagne, you would die very young.
or you would just have nasty poops in your 20s.
That's also true, yeah. Speaking from experience there, Josh.
No, luckily I did not live that lifestyle in college.
Thank God.
Yeah, I mean I had the food we had at Trinity, which was also really bad.
That was rough, yeah. Dining hall
Yeah,
food is pretty rough.
yeah, it was disgusting. I wish we protested about it because apparently a few colleges that had contracts with Aramark did. So
Well, in the next life. But
my
also,
professor said like, why don't you guys protest about this? My school is like protesting about it. I'm like, yeah, we should protest this bad food. We want burgers and champagne.
anyways, Josh is revealing himself to be a Skrull, but it's also revealed that Sue has been spying on the Skrulls the whole time by hiding because she's invisible. But of course, she's caught by the Super Skrull, who obviously can see her with his enhanced vision because he has so many different powers. And so the Super Skrull catches her and kills her. And then the secondary effects of the pills start kicking in on everyone, and people just start shriveling up and dying on the spot there. And the issue ends with Reed and the rest of what should be the Fantastic Four, but not the Fantastic Four. The rest of the group comes in and they find Sue dead, which is
Yeah.
shocking. And so that leads us into issue 29, where you see like the pills killing all humans on Earth except for Ben because he has no powers because he never took the pills.
Reed is fighting the Super Skrull and tells Johnny, "Go Supernova. That's the only way we can stop him." He goes, if Johnny goes, "That will kill you," and he goes, "Yeah, I don't care. It's this or nothing."
Yeah, so it gets really bad really fast. Ben's girlfriend, Jasmine, the butterfly woman, flies off with him while Reed and Johnny basically sacrifice themselves to try and stop the Super Skrull, and they blow up the top of the Baxter building with the Super Skrull in there. And the Super Skrull survives along with the Human Torch and is like, you think you're such hot shit? I've got all these powers. And he incinerates the Human Torch, which really goes to show how powerful you are. If you can incinerate the guy whose power is literally to burst into flames, if that's too hot for him, that's crazy. Like, that's
The
wild.
Skrull fleet arrives, and it's killing the last few remaining humans and mutants because they
Yeah.
obviously didn't take the pill. And Thor.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're all just ambushing and swarming Thor, who dies off panel. We don't
Yeah.
see how it happens, but I'm sure they just overwhelm Thor with their sheer numbers.
Yeah, and they do better than the Sentinels because they already killed off every person who took the pill, and they kill off every mutant way faster than the Sentinels ever could.
Yeah, no, the Sentinels aren't shit compared to the Skrulls here, who come in
Yeah.
with a full fleet and wipe everyone out.
Yeah. So it's just Ben and the Skrull Emperor. Oh, and Ben goes, and Skrull Emperor goes, "Look what I did! No humans, no mutants. Your planet's extinct. Haha." And Ben goes, "But you have no powers anymore."
Yeah, because the Super Skrull suit only gives him powers of all those around him, and if all the other humans and mutants are all dead on the face of the planet, then the suit's powerless. He has no powers. So Ben, as a normal guy, is just like, it's clobbering time and starts beating the crap out of him, which
Yeah.
is pretty fun. It's really
Yeah.
cool. It's like, hell yeah. He doesn't need to be the thing to lay an ass whooping on someone. There we go. That's a real
Yeah.
fist pumping, like, fun moment. I
Yeah.
love that.
And I love how he strips down, schlongs out, and the Skrull Emperor doesn't even bother to fight back.
Yeah, and Ben just totally steals his suit, puts it on, and now it all comes together, and you're like, oh, that wasn't the Super Skrull. That's Ben in the Super Skrull's suit, going back in time to stop any of this from happening.
The Skrull Emperor also is like, "Hey man, give me back the suit. I'll die in 10 minutes because my body is so weak and I'll die from the oxygen." And Ben just leaves him to die, but also,
Yeah.
you did just do like a genocide, man.
Yeah.
Who are you to just ask for mercy at this point?
Yeah, honestly, at this point, you killed everyone on the face of this planet. What do you expect, dude?
Yeah.
And
So Ben
we
goes
get
back
to
to the.
see Ben's journey back across like this story, him going back to when Ben and his butterfly girlfriend were just having a good day, and he's like, I need to go back further. And then you get to see him going back to the original test site where the Fantastic Four got their powers.
Yeah.
And so he encounters the Fantastic Four there. And as the Super Skrull, he gets into a fight with the Fantastic Four, the ones who had traveled back to stop their origin from happening.
He fights the Thing too.
Yeah, he fights the Thing, he fights himself, and the other Thing doesn't even know that it's Ben Grimm in the suit.
And he has to do it within a certain time frame, or the Skrulls who've landed are trying to break into the machine, the time travel machine.
Yeah, and so, but Ben also gets swarmed by a bunch of Argaiapes, the giant spiders, as the Super Skrull. He stops the Fantastic Four from stopping their origin to begin with, so he like basically erases the whole President Thor timeline and returns things to the way they were at the beginning of the story arc. But he also flees randomly to the one location he can escape from the Agariapes, which is in South America 500 years ago, which, going back to the beginning of the story when they're in that pyramid in Chile, that was the Super Skrull residual psychic energy they found when they were with the X-Men. So it all kind of comes full circle in this really fun way. But yeah, then current Ben is now depressed once again because he's like, well, we failed. We couldn't even go back and stop me from becoming the Thing. But little does he know that they did do that, and it was actually his other self from another timeline that went to stop all of this. So in reality, it was Ben who was like, actually, we need to just become the Fantastic Four again.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know that.
He does know he saw his self though, and he also just says, "Yeah, also I met my alternative self, and I'm pretty sure got eaten alive by spider people."
Well, I think he's really like, okay, well, not only am I the Thing, I'm also getting attacked by giant spiders. So this sucks. This was a bad day.
Yeah. And Zombie Reed, meanwhile, is going like, "We got it down. 1 week, baby. We're busting out."
Leading into the next storyline, we get a bit of a hint at what's to come, where the zombie Fantastic Four in the Baxter building are planning their escape within the week. So that adds some suspense and urgency for the next storyline. The
Uh,
Thing is back in the park, sitting on that bench, and who appears before him but Alicia Masters, in the main comics, now the wife of the Thing, but like the love interest for the Thing. And she's more than that, of course. She's now become like a member of the Fantastic Four as part of the family. But this is her first appearance in Ultimate, and she appears in the park, and they hit it off pretty quickly.
it reads it reads like a bad romantic novel, honestly.
Yeah,
He's
it
sitting down at
does.
a bench, and she immediately asks, "Do you have a girlfriend?" Like
Yeah,
a horned
because
dog.
she's like, "Oh, you're so sweet, you're so sensitive." She's immediately enamored with him. It happens very quickly and very
It's the
easily.
first line,
Yeah,
basically.
literally.
Which makes
So,
me feel better about some of my writings, by the way.
yeah. Like if this can get published, it can happen for anyone.
Exactly. And there's a scene he was like, oh, she also goes, also I'm blind, and Fake goes, did you know I happen to look like Brad Pitt?
Yeah, this felt kind of weird because he was like blind, huh? And he looks up and he's like, "Thank you, God." And I'm like, that's kind of funny, but also kind of messed up. I'm like, you're really gonna abuse the knowledge you have that someone has a disability. It's kind of messed up. What I like about the Thing Alicia relationship is she loves him for who he is on the inside. And even in very short stories and periods of time where she has temporarily regained her sight, it doesn't matter because like she still loves the Thing. It doesn't matter what he looks like in his appearance. It's all about just who he is as a person. So
Also,
this just feels like a weird like,
I
ooh, let's just take advantage of it because she's blind.
I
I'm
don't think it's
like,
weird.
I don't know. It felt kind of nasty. I don't know. I had
If
an
she's
icky
been blind
feeling.
her whole life, she does not know who Brad Pitt is.
That's true. So that
Yeah.
wouldn't mean anything to her
Yeah,
anyways.
exactly. Also, if you're like this really ugly person, let's just say it's in the regular world, a really ugly person, a blind girl's into you, and you go like, by the way, I'm really handsome. She has no real standard to judge you on. She might,
Yeah.
you might as well be handsome to her, you know?
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, that was that kind of like wraps everything up until the very end where we see Doctor Doom watching the Fantastic Four and the zombie Fantastic Four, and he's monitoring everything, and he's like, our plan begins tomorrow, like leading into the next storyline. So it's a fun
Yeah,
little like ooh teaser of things to come. Is very
yeah.
exciting.
You gotta love when Doctor Doom does a little plotting, you know?
Yeah, he's
Uh,
plotting, he's scheming. Can't wait
yeah,
to see what happens next.
doing Wizard King shit.
Exactly as it should be.
Yeah.
But yeah, that wraps up the issues for this batch. Any final thoughts, Josh?
I love these issues. These were fun reads. They were fun. They were trippy. I did think the Inhumans ones was a bit not odd. I don't know how to say it. It's a little bit of a distraction in my opinion, but
Yeah, because I feel like with annuals, the whole idea is it takes you away from the main ongoing storyline and is there to
yeah,
tell like a fun one and done kind of story, kind of
yeah,
a side quest, really. And that can kind of break up the pacing of the
yeah,
main story when you kind of like read in between. They can be hit or miss. Like it's kind of a love it or hate it thing. I like annuals generally because it's like a fun like event, kind of like ooh, little like special issue where you get to see them do something a little out of the ordinary. And of course, I love the artwork, Jae Lee's artwork on that.
yeah.
But yeah, I see
Oh
what
yeah,
you
the
mean.
artwork
It
was
does
great.
break things up a bit.
That being said, I did like the new take on the Inhumans of them being like this horror thing. Yeah, but also like this one was okay. I don't really liked any of the angles so far. The one annual I've of the ones we've read and haven't read that I've read is the Peter Parker Kitty Pryde special that will come up maybe like in a few months. So
Yeah. Yeah, some annuals are crucial. There are exceptions, but I feel
yeah,
like generally annuals are meant to be fun little side quests
yeah,
that we go down, and they can be hit or miss for sure.
yeah,
But the main story to like I love the annual mainly because of the Jae Lee art, but it's also fun to see them like meet the Inhumans for the first time in this universe. But yeah, I love the main highlight for me was this main story in issues 27 through 29,
yeah.
which I thought were so much fun. I love time travel. I thought it was kind of like a mind-bending, like fun, also like a fun exercise in like another what if kind of crazy world where everyone has superpowers and Thor's the president. But I loved how it all kind of resolved and came full circle. I thought they stuck the landing on that really well.
The world of superheroes. I think that's like an alternate universe take for different stuff that appears after this comic was published. I don't know if there's a connection, but
Yeah, there might be. Yeah, I think there's a
House of
lot
M.
of
House of
like
M.
House of M. Well, that's where everyone's a mutant.
That's basically the same as this one.
Well, actually, it's not everyone's a mutant. It's actually that
M-
mutants are the majority now and
majority.
humans are the minority. So the
Yeah.
script has been flipped. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's similar for sure. I can see the similarities between this and House of M.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of like alternate realities like that. And there's a lot of indie comics outside of Marvel and DC where you explore like a world where there's a society full of superheroes. And I think
Yeah.
one or two of them have actually been written by Mark Millar. So this
Yeah.
felt like kind of a launching pad for some of his later works or
Yeah.
some of his outside of Marvel and DC works.
Yeah. You and I know I'm not the ultra biggest fan of Mark Millar. I think he makes things go too edgy. He occasionally butchers characters, and because it's Marvel, that means those butcher traits stay with them for a long time at times. I think his Fantastic Four writing, not perfect, but very on point, very good, very well done, very solid and fun reads. You
Yeah.
know,
No,
yeah.
I love his Fantastic Four. I think in Ultimate, but I think even more in the main universe, I do like his Fantastic Four work generally.
Yeah. Oh, I liked it too. Not my favorite, but I liked it too.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I can't wait until next time. We're going to go into Ultimate Fantastic Four issues 30 through 32 and
Yeah.
annual number 2. So we're just
Yeah.
going to cover like the second half of this batch of issues.
Yeah.
But until then, Josh, where can our listeners reach us if they want to email us with their thoughts on the podcast, on the comics we read, comics in general, or pretty much anything?
It is Ultimate Comics Podcast at gmail.com. That's comics plural, podcast singular.
That is right. And you can also find us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all at Ultimate Comics Podcast. On Instagram, you'll find all the images we post from the comics we read, along with a lot of fun reels. And those are also similarly made into TikToks on our TikTok. And on YouTube, you'll find full episodes with video if you want to see our beautiful faces.
We love reading the messages and DMs you guys send us on TikTok, your comments, and
Yes,
email.
no. We love all of our loyal listeners and fans and followers and people who engage with us online. We love the little community that we've been carving out slowly but surely. So thank you to everyone for listening and following and showing all the love and support and engaging with us on something we all love so much. But yeah, thanks again. And until next time, take care and make mine Ultimate Marvel. Bye bye.